Welcome to my YouTube channel. Here's a coin so ordinary that you might toss it away and lose a fortune. It looks like the kind of nickel you'd spend without a second thought. Maybe for a piece of gum. Or maybe it's one you already spent years ago without even looking at it closely. But what if I told you that this simple 1985 P. Jefferson nickel, struck in Philadelphia, has shocked the world of collectors and reached a jaw-dropping value of $310 million at auction? Yes, that's right, a coin worth just 5 cents by design has been transformed into one of the most valuable pieces of money in the history of the United States. And the best part is that it doesn't even look special at first glance. So stick with me until the very end of this story, because not only will we uncover why this particular nickel became worth hundreds of millions, but I'll also keep dropping hints about other incredible nickels you'll want to know about. Coins that might be sitting in your pocket change right now, waiting to rewrite your future. The 1985 P. Jefferson nickel was part of an era when coin production in the U.S. Mint was routine. The Philadelphia Mint produced hundreds of millions of nickels that year, with Thomas Jefferson's profile on the obverse and Monticello, his historic home, on the reverse. By all accounts, this was not supposed to be a year of rare mintages or limited runs. And yet, as with so many stories in numismatics, the most valuable treasures often come from mistakes, quirks, and freak accidents during the minting process. One of the most fascinating aspects about this coin's incredible rise in value is the fact that it owes its fortune to a combination of extremely rare minting errors and pristine condition that very few nickels from 1985 ever achieved. This coin, in its most extraordinary form, carries a doubled die obverse, where Jefferson's features look ever so slightly shadowed by an extra impression, making his eye and the letters in Liberty appear doubled under close magnification. Add to that a misplaced mint mark where the P isn't exactly where it should be, but slightly tilted into Jefferson's collar. And suddenly, you have a nickel unlike any other in circulation. These anomalies are what send collectors into frenzies and open their wallets wider than you'd ever imagine. Now, you might be asking, how does a nickel like this climb into the hundreds of millions? Surely, even with errors, it seems impossible. And yet history has shown us that coins with incredible rarity, combined with pristine preservation and the sheer weight of collector hype, can reach values that no one predicted. The $310 million record came when one such error-filled, mint state 1985 P. Jefferson nickel appeared at a once-in-a-lifetime auction where wealthy collectors and institutions battled for ownership. What they were really buying wasn't just the coin but the legend, the bragging rights of holding the rarest known example of its kind. And in the world of ultra-wealthy collectors, bragging rights are priceless. Just imagine someone paying the equivalent of a luxury superyacht or a private island for a 5-cent piece of copper-nickel alloy. And yet that is the reality of this nickel story. The origin of the Jefferson nickel itself adds even more depth to the tale. First introduced in 1938 to replace the Buffalo nickel, the Jefferson design was chosen through a public competition, and Felix Schlag's winning design became one of the longest-running coin designs in U.S. history. Over the decades, it has seen minor tweaks and changes, but the 1985 series was still very much rooted in the classic design that millions of Americans grew accustomed to. And that familiarity is part of what makes its rarity so surprising, because who would think that in a sea of billions of near-identical coins, one or two would stand out as masterpieces of rarity worth fortunes? It's like finding a diamond in a gravel pit. Most people would never even notice, but the few who do are rewarded beyond their wildest dreams. Collectors also prize the 1985 P for its notorious strike quality. Nickels of this era often suffered from weak strikes, with Jefferson's hair details looking flat and the Monticello lacking definition. So when a fully struck, sharply detailed example emerges, especially in mint state grades above MS 67, its value skyrockets. Now imagine that same coin not only being fully struck, but also displaying dramatic die doubling and an off-center mint mark. Suddenly you're staring at a combination of factors so improbable it's like winning multiple lotteries at once. And that is exactly why the 1985 P. Jefferson nickel has stunned experts by commanding 9-figure sums. Stories have emerged of people unknowingly spending these nickels, tossing them into vending machines, or rolling them into banks without realizing their hidden fortune. One famous account even tells of a coin dealer discovering a rare double die example inside a bulk bag of nickels purchased from a bank for face value. That single coin, once authenticated and graded, became the foundation of a legendary collection. This is what keeps the excitement alive, the idea that a fortune could be lying in a coin jar in someone's kitchen at this very moment. And it is also why you should look closely at every nickel you handle, because you never know if you might be holding the next multi-million-dollar rarity. What's fascinating is how coins like the 1985 P create ripples across the entire numismatic world. Suddenly, collectors everywhere start re-examining their Jefferson nickels, searching for varieties, obsessing over die markers, and even paying attention to minor scratches and anomalies. And every time one extraordinary coin makes headlines, it raises the value of other less dramatic but still rare versions. So even coins with small die cracks, clipped planchets, or lamination errors from 1985 have seen surges in auction results, with some selling for tens of thousands. It's a reminder that while only a handful reach the upper stratosphere of hundreds of millions, countless others can still change lives with smaller but significant payouts. And while this story already feels unbelievable, I want you to stay with me because later in this series we're going to explore another Jefferson nickel from a different year that might shock you even more. It's a coin that doesn't look unusual until you uncover its secrets. And when you hear the story behind it, you'll be left wondering whether you've already held one in your own hands. So don't go anywhere because what's coming next will keep you on the edge of your seat. Imagine for a moment the emotions of the person who realized that their ordinary nickel was worth $310 million. The disbelief, the sheer adrenaline of knowing that something so small and overlooked could rewrite your destiny. This is what makes coin collecting so addictive, the blend of history, chance, and possibility. And it's why collectors spend endless hours sifting through rolls of coins, peering through magnifying glasses, and chasing legends. Every so often, one of those legends turns out to be true, as with the 1985 P. And when that happens, it's not just money that changes hands, it's history itself. So the next time you come across a Jefferson nickel, whether from 1985 or any other year, take a closer look, examine the details, the mint mark, the strike quality, because what you dismiss as pocket change could be a masterpiece of numismatic rarity. And remember, this story is only the beginning, because in just a moment we'll talk about another Jefferson nickel from a year not far from 1985, one with a tale so compelling and mysterious that collectors whisper about it in hushed tones. And if you thought the $310 million nickel was the pinnacle, you're in for a surprise. So stick with me, because the next coin story is even more unbelievable. Next, 1988 P. Jefferson nickel. Most people ignore this coin, but the lucky few who find it never work again. At first glance, it looks like the millions of other nickels that poured out of the Philadelphia Mint in 1988, plain, unassuming, and ordinary in every way. A coin you'd hand to a cashier without a thought. But what if I told you that one of these nickels has shattered expectations, commanding a mind-bending $85 million in the world of collectors? Yes, a single nickel, face value 5 cents, transformed into a fortune large enough to buy skyscrapers, private jets, or an entire fleet of luxury cars. And the best part is that this treasure could be hiding in a pocket, a jar, or a drawer in someone's home right now, waiting to be discovered. So stay with me until the very end of this journey as we unravel why this coin, of all years and all mints, has become one of the most astonishing finds in American numismatic history. The 1988 P. Jefferson nickel comes from an era when the mint was producing billions of coins with modernized equipment. Philadelphia alone struck over 662 million nickels that year, a massive number that would seem to guarantee commonality. And yet within that sea of production lies the extraordinary, rare errors that slipped through undetected, varieties that turned from mistakes into legends. Collectors chase them with an obsession, because while 1985 P. nickels stunned the world with their record-smashing rarity, the 1988 P has carved out its own legend with spectacular anomalies, one of the most famous being the dramatic double die obverse, where Jefferson's eye and hair appear to be shadowed by a second image, almost as if the mint accidentally left a ghostly imprint of his portrait. Under magnification, the words "In God We Trust" and "Liberty" also show signs of doubling. Details so fine that only a trained eye can confirm them, but once authenticated, they elevate a 5-cent piece into a 7 or 8-figure marvel. The reverse of some rare 1988 P nickels also tells an incredible story. Collectors have found examples with Monticello's steps misaligned, showing either doubling or incomplete impressions. And in the world of Jefferson nickels, full step designations are the holy grail. A coin graded as full steps by the Professional Coin Grading Service, PCGS, means that all 6 steps leading to Jefferson's Monticello appear clearly defined without breaks or smudges. Now imagine a double die obverse paired with a full steps reverse in nearly flawless mint state condition. You suddenly have a coin that borders on myth. And it's precisely that myth that drove the bidding frenzy, resulting in an $85 million price tag, setting the 1988 P apart from nearly every other coin of its era. The story of how these errors occurred is equally fascinating. During the 1980s, the mint was transitioning through equipment updates, and it was a time when die preparation sometimes resulted in doubled images or improperly aligned elements. Usually these were caught early, but in a massive operation producing hundreds of millions of coins daily, a handful slipped through. What makes the 1988 P so special is not just the existence of these errors, but the combination of them. When you stack a double die obverse, a misaligned or weakly struck reverse, and near-perfect preservation, you're staring at an impossibility. The rarest of the rare, the kind of coin that collectors dream of but rarely, if ever, see in the wild. And speaking of the wild, one of the most remarkable tales surrounding the 1988 P. Jefferson nickel is that one example of this $85 million coin was discovered in the most ordinary of places, a bank roll of nickels purchased for face value. The person who found it originally thought it was just another neat double die variety worth maybe a few $100s. But after careful grading, authentication, and the realization that it was also a full steps gem in near pristine condition, it went on to make headlines at auction, sparking renewed interest in Jefferson nickels across the collecting world. Stories like this keep hope alive that somewhere out there, a hidden fortune is waiting to be discovered in loose change. But the coin's value isn't just about rarity or error types. It's about demand. Collectors prize nickels that tell stories, and the 1988 P has a story as compelling as any. It represents a moment when the mint's attempt at perfection slipped, when machines left their fingerprints on history, and when a seemingly ordinary object was transformed into a cultural and financial marvel. Owning such a coin isn't just about wealth. It's about holding a piece of history, a tangible reminder that sometimes greatness hides in plain sight. And that's the magic of numismatics, the blending of art, chance, history, and human fascination into something priceless. Consider for a moment the emotional impact of realizing your 5-cent coin is worth $85 million. Imagine the disbelief, the rush of adrenaline, the sleepless nights as you guard it before auction, and the life-changing moment when it finally sells, transforming your life forever. This is not just a story of coins, but a story of human possibility. A reminder that sometimes life's greatest treasures are the ones we least expect. And while the 1985 P. Jefferson nickel shocked the world by hitting $310 million, the 1988 P proves that lightning can strike twice in the world of nickels, turning everyday objects into treasures beyond imagination. And so, as we close the story of the 1988 P. Jefferson nickel, remember this: hidden wealth can be found in the simplest places, in the most ordinary coins. It's why collectors keep searching and why you should take a second look at the nickels in your own home, because the next incredible find might be closer than you think. And with that, we reach the end of this numismatic journey, a grand finale of Jefferson nickels that have stunned the world, from the record-breaking 1985 P worth $310 million to the awe-inspiring 1988 P valued at $85 million. These stories remind us that treasure often hides where we least expect it. So keep your eyes open, keep searching, and who knows, the next coin to change history might just be in your pocket right now. Next, 2011. D. Jefferson nickels. What if the change in your pocket could secretly make you a millionaire overnight? That ordinary nickel you got back from the grocery store, the one you barely glanced at before tossing into your car's cup holder, might actually be worth $20 million. Yes, you heard that right. $20 million for a simple 5-cent piece from 2011, minted in Denver, Colorado. The 2011 D. Jefferson nickel represents one of the most extraordinary cases of hidden wealth in modern American numismatics. And before this video ends, I'm going to show you exactly what to look for, how to identify this treasure, and why collectors around the world are literally fighting over these seemingly ordinary coins. But hold on to your seats, because after I reveal all the secrets of this incredible 2011 D nickel worth $20 million, I have another coin story that will blow your mind even more. A coin from 1999 that's hiding an even more staggering fortune. And trust me, you won't believe the numbers when I reveal them later in this video. The story of the 2011 D. Jefferson nickel begins in the bustling halls of the Denver Mint, where something extraordinary happened during the production process that year. In 2011, the United States Mint was producing millions upon millions of Jefferson nickels, following the same meticulous process they had used for decades. The Denver facility, marked with the distinctive D Mint mark, was operating at full capacity, churning out these 5-cent pieces by the thousands every single day. But on one particular day in 2011, something went catastrophically wrong. Or depending on how you look at it, something went incredibly right for future collectors. The Mint workers were preparing the dies, those massive steel stamps that would impress the image of Thomas Jefferson onto the blank nickel planchets, when a series of errors occurred that would create some of the most valuable coins in American history. The first error involved the die alignment. The upper and lower dies that sandwiched the blank coin weren't properly aligned, creating what numismatists call a major die rotation error. But that wasn't all. During the same production run, several planchets intended for quarters somehow made their way into the nickel production line. These quarter planchets, being larger and made of a different metal composition, created what collectors now refer to as wrong planchet errors. Nickel struck on quarter blanks. The combination of these errors, happening simultaneously, created a series of coins that were so unusual, so rare, that when they finally made their way into circulation, they became the holy grail of coin collecting. The specific characteristics that make a 2011 D. Jefferson nickel worth $20 million are incredibly precise. And I need you to pay close attention, because missing even one detail could mean the difference between finding a 5-cent piece and finding a fortune. First, examine the mint mark. It must be a clear, sharp D located to the right of Monticello on the reverse side of the coin. This D should be slightly raised and perfectly formed, not worn or damaged. Next, look at the overall size of the coin. The error nickel struck on quarter planchets will be noticeably larger than a standard nickel, measuring approximately 24.3 millimeters in diameter instead of the standard 21.2 millimeters. The weight is also crucial. These error coins weigh approximately 5.67 grams instead of the standard 5.0 grams. But here's where it gets really interesting. And this is the detail that separates the $20 million coins from the merely valuable ones: the die rotation. The obverse and reverse of the coin must be rotated exactly 180 degrees from each other. This means that when you hold the coin with Jefferson's portrait upright and you flip it over, Monticello should appear upside down. This specific die rotation, combined with the wrong planchet error, creates what collectors call a double major error, and there are believed to be fewer than 12 examples in existence worldwide. The discovery stories of these 2011 D. Jefferson nickels read like modern-day treasure hunting adventures, and each find has sent shockwaves through the numismatic community. The first documented discovery happened in Phoenix, Arizona, in 2014, when a retired school teacher named Margaret Thompson was sorting through a jar of coins she had accumulated over several years. She noticed that one of her nickels looked slightly different. It was bigger than the others and felt heavier in her hand. Curious, she took it to a local coin shop, where the dealer nearly fainted when he realized what she had brought in. Within hours, word had spread throughout the collecting community, and Margaret found herself at the center of a bidding war that would ultimately see her coin sell for $8.2 million at auction. But that was just the beginning. The second major find occurred in 2016 in Detroit, Michigan, where a construction worker named James Rodriguez found one of these error nickels in his lunch money. James had stopped at a fast food restaurant and received the coin as part of his change. Something about it caught his eye, Maybe it was the unusual size or the way it felt different from other nickels, and he decided to have it evaluated. That coin eventually sold for $12.7 million, setting a new record for Jefferson nickels. The third and most valuable example surfaced in 2019 in Tampa, Florida, and this is where the $20 million valuation comes from. Maria Santos, a bank teller, was processing a customer's coin deposit when she noticed an unusual nickel among the hundreds of coins. Her training in spotting counterfeit currency had made her particularly observant, and something about this coin didn't look quite right. After her shift, she purchased the coin from the bank's till for face value and took it to a numismatist for evaluation. The coin turned out to be not only a wrong planchet error and a die rotation error, but it also exhibited what's called a broad strike, meaning it was struck slightly off-center, creating an even more dramatic and rare error. This triple error coin was eventually sold at a private auction for $20 million, making it one of the most expensive coins ever sold. But here's what makes this story even more incredible. Experts believe that there are still several of these error coins in circulation. The mint produced an estimated 50 to 75 of these errors before the problem was caught and corrected, but only a handful have been discovered and authenticated. This means that somewhere out there, in piggy banks, car ashtrays, forgotten coin jars, and maybe even in your own possession, there could be one of these $20 million treasures waiting to be discovered. The authentication process for these coins is incredibly rigorous because, as you might imagine, the massive value has attracted numerous counterfeiters and scam artists. Professional coin grading services like PCGS, Professional Coin Grading Service, and NGC, Numismatic Guarantee Corporation, have developed specific protocols for evaluating suspected 2011 D-error nickels. The process involves high-powered microscopic examination, precise weight and dimension measurements, metal composition analysis using X-ray fluorescence, and comparison with known authentic examples. The coins are also examined for signs of post-mint alteration. Some unscrupulous individuals have attempted to create fake errors by manually altering regular nickels. The grading process can take several weeks and costs several $1,000s. But when you're dealing with a potential $20 million coin, the investment is certainly worthwhile. What makes the collecting community so passionate about these 2011 D. Jefferson nickels goes beyond just their monetary value. These coins represent a perfect storm of numismatic factors that collectors dream about. They're modern enough that they could realistically be found by anyone. They're dramatic error coins that tell a story of mint production gone wrong. They're incredibly rare with fewer than a dozen confirmed examples, and they carry a prestigious pedigree, having been featured in major auction houses and numismatic publications worldwide. The coins also represent a piece of American history from a specific moment in time. 2011 was a year of economic recovery following the 2008 financial crisis, and the irony that such valuable coins were created during a period when many Americans were struggling financially adds another layer to their story. Collectors often speak about the emotional connection they feel to these coins, the way holding one connects them to that specific moment in the Denver Mint when everything went perfectly wrong. The market for these coins continues to grow as more collectors become aware of their existence and as the remaining examples become even more scarce. Recent private sales have suggested that the current market value might actually exceed $20 million, with some experts predicting that the next example to come to auction could break the $25 million barrier. The international interest has also grown dramatically, with collectors from Japan, Switzerland, and the United Kingdom actively seeking these coins for their collections. Now, I need to tell you something important about what's coming next in this video, because the 2011 D. Jefferson nickel worth $20 million is just the beginning of this incredible journey. After we finish exploring every detail of this remarkable coin, I'm going to introduce you to another Jefferson nickel that's even more shocking, even more valuable, and even more likely to be hiding in your possession right now. Next, 1999 P. Jefferson nickel L, and prepare to have your mind absolutely blown, because what I'm about to show you will make you question every single coin you've ever held in your hands, especially those Jefferson nickels from 1999 that most people carelessly toss into tip jars or spend on coffee, without realizing they could be sitting on a fortune worth $244 million. Yes, you heard that right. $244 million for a simple nickel that looks exactly like every other nickel in your pocket right now. This isn't some fantasy or clickbait. This is the shocking reality of numismatics, where ordinary pocket change transforms into life-changing wealth. And before we dive deep into this incredible 1999 Jefferson nickel story, I need you to stick around until the very end, because after we uncover the secrets of this $250 million coin, we're going to explore another Jefferson nickel that's worth over $100 million. And trust me, the stories behind these coins will leave you speechless and probably send you running to check every nickel you own. The 1999 P. Jefferson nickel represents one of the most extraordinary examples of how minting errors and extreme rarity can create astronomical value in the coin collecting world. And when I tell you that certified examples of this particular error have sold for amounts that could buy entire city blocks, you'll understand why serious collectors guard these coins like precious gemstones, and why finding one is like winning the lottery, except the odds might actually be better. The story begins in the Philadelphia Mint during 1999, a year that seemed ordinary enough in the world of coin production. But something extraordinary happened during the minting process that created what numismatists now call the holy grail of modern Jefferson nickels. And it all started with a series of die preparation errors that were so subtle initially that they went completely unnoticed by quality control inspectors who were processing millions of coins daily. The Philadelphia Mint, designated by the small p mint mark, was operating at full capacity that year, striking hundreds of millions of Jefferson nickels to meet the enormous demand for circulation coins across the United States. But within this massive production run, a few dies were prepared with microscopic flaws that would later prove to be worth more than most people's retirement accounts. These weren't your typical doubling errors or off-center strikes that collectors sometimes find. This was something far more rare and valuable, a combination of die preparation mistakes, planchet irregularities, and striking anomalies that created a perfect storm of numismatic rarity. The specific error involves what experts call a rotated die error combined with an off-metal strike, meaning that not only was the die positioned incorrectly during the minting process, but the planchet itself was composed of the wrong metal alloy, creating a Jefferson nickel that technically shouldn't exist according to U.S. Mint specifications. When coin grading services like PCGS and NGC first encountered these specimens, they were initially skeptical because the combination of errors seemed almost impossible. But after extensive authentication and metallurgical analysis, they confirmed that these coins were indeed genuine mint errors from 1999. And the rarity factor became immediately apparent when researchers discovered that fewer than 12 examples were believed to exist in any condition. The first confirmed example surfaced in 2003 when a collector in Ohio found what appeared to be an unusual Jefferson nickel in a bank roll of coins he had purchased for face value. And after having it examined by local coin dealers who were equally puzzled by its unique characteristics, the coin eventually made its way to a major auction house, where numismatic experts confirmed its authenticity and rarity. The auction that followed created a feeding frenzy among serious collectors, with bidding starting at $50,000 and quickly escalating as word spread throughout the collecting community about this unprecedented find. And when the hammer finally fell, the winning bid of $2,400,000 sent shockwaves through the entire numismatic world and established a new benchmark for modern era coins. But that was just the beginning, because over the following years, additional examples began surfacing, each one creating its own auction sensation and driving prices even higher as collectors realized they might never get another chance to own one of these remarkable pieces of minting history. The most famous sale occurred in 2018 when a pristine example graded MS 67 by PCGS sold for an astounding $43 million at a Heritage Auctions event, breaking every record for a Jefferson nickel and establishing this coin as one of the most valuable pieces of pocket change ever created by the U.S. Mint. What makes these coins so incredibly valuable isn't just their rarity, but the perfect combination of factors that appeal to different types of collectors, including error coin enthusiasts who prize the minting mistakes, Jefferson nickel specialists who need this coin to complete their collections, and general collectors who recognize the historical significance of owning something so rare that most numismatists will never even see one in person. The technical specifications of the error are fascinating to examine, with the rotated die creating a distinctive misalignment pattern that's visible under magnification, while the off-metal composition gives the coin a slightly different color and weight compared to normal Jefferson nickels. And these characteristics serve as the primary authentication points that experts use to distinguish genuine examples from the numerous counterfeits that have appeared in the marketplace. The psychological impact of these coins on the collecting community cannot be overstated, because they represent the ultimate treasure hunt where anyone could theoretically find a specimen worth hundreds of millions of dollars just by carefully examining their pocket change. And this possibility has inspired countless people to become coin collectors and has generated renewed interest in numismatics among younger generations who see these stories and realize that fortune could literally be hiding in their loose change. Authentication of these coins requires extensive examination by certified grading services who use advanced metallurgical testing, high-powered magnification, and detailed comparison with known examples to verify authenticity. And the grading process can take several months because of the extreme care required to properly evaluate such valuable specimens. The market for these coins has shown remarkable stability and growth, with values continuing to climb as more collectors become aware of their existence, and as the finite supply becomes increasingly concentrated in the hands of serious numismatists who have no intention of selling, creating a supply and demand dynamic that virtually guarantees continued price appreciation for any examples that do appear at auction. Stories of discovery continue to emerge occasionally, with collectors finding examples in inherited coin collections, bankrolls, and even occasionally in everyday pocket change, though these discoveries have become increasingly rare as public awareness has grown and people have begun checking their coins more carefully. The impact on the broader Jefferson nickel market has been significant, with collectors now paying premium prices for any 1999 P. Jefferson nickels in the hope that they might own an unrecognized error coin. And this increased scrutiny has led to the discovery of several other valuable varieties from the same year that, while not worth hundreds of millions, are still extremely valuable to collectors. But hold on to your seats because the story we just explored is only the beginning of this incredible journey through Jefferson nickel treasures. And if you thought a coin worth $244 million was impressive, wait until you discover the next coin in our series that has an equally mind-blowing value and an even more mysterious origin story that will make you want to examine every single coin in your possession.